Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you are brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And we are in the world of Windenburg, where I've actually been spending a good chunk of time here lately. I've been really drawn to the countryside of Windenburg. However, I decided to venture to the Crumbling Isles, which is technically what the neighborhood is called. I made sure I looked it up and I even named the build after it. Consistency is key. And yeah, this is basically the island where there are a lot of big modern builds, but I thought it would be really nice to create a small farmhouse. And I kind of thought of this idea that, of course, Windenburg has its historic districts where all of the Tudor style buildings are. So kind of like the historic downtown district, which of course I don't know the name of off the top of my head, and the countryside where there are a lot of Tudor homes as well. But I was kind of thinking that on this island, maybe it used to be like a big farming island, and this is one of the original farmhouses that is still standing, whereas everything around it has become this huge, like, modern luxury. So this property is probably worth, if we're going down this train of thought, this is like a prime piece of real estate. Maybe not the home itself, but like the land is probably really valuable. And I'm thinking that maybe this was handed down from generation to generation and they just refuse to relinquish the land, sell it to the city or anything like that. And they continue to run it as a farm or like a homestead, whatever you kind of want to refer to it as. But I really liked that idea, and I really liked the little farmhouse that I came up with. So as you can see, the exterior is pretty much together at this point, at least the structure. And now I'm working on the landscaping, which was actually a little hard because, of course, I wanted it to blend into the world around it, but I also wanted there to be a really good mixture of plants as well, and I wanted it to look really full. And I also really wanted to use those plants that came with cats and dogs. I just thought that they fit really nicely, and they were just a little bit different compared to a lot of the plants that were around it. And I actually branched out a little bit and used the sunflowers. I don't use those a lot just because, I don't know, I don't like how they're grouped. There's the singular sunflower and then there are the groups of 3, but I thought that they kind of worked for this build. I mean, sunflowers to me associate me with like farms. Like that's what I think of. I think of farms, I think of like the countryside. That's what I kind of imagine whenever I see sunflowers. So I thought it kind of worked here. And I also used those plants that came with Island Living as the low-lying plants underneath all of these huge shrubs, which I haven't done before. And I thought it brought just a little bit more character and a little bit more fullness to the landscaping itself. And I also kind of create gardening beds by using these rocks. I kind of enclose everything. And I use the hollylocks, which are my favorite flower in this entire game. I absolutely love them, and I use them in a swatch that I haven't used before either. It has like red and orange-ish tones to it, even some yellows. I thought that it was a good, healthy mix of color. Originally, I was going to use just red, but then I was seeing that the house was green, the flowers were going to be red. This might as well just be a Christmas build, and let me just say it's a little early for that, at least I think it is. It's basically still March in my head at this point, but I think it's actually August now, right? It is definitely August. I actually do know what day it is, but since I've been working from home and basically been in quarantine for months and months and months now, who knows what day it really is, right? But as you can see, I am trying to finish up the landscaping. I didn't do a lot in the backyard just because, 1, there's really no backyard, but 2, it just seemed a little too kind of claustrophobic against the back of the structure, so I really just kind of repeat the landscaping off to the side of the home, and it kind of encroached a little bit on what I end up building, which is a barn. I build a very small barn because I didn't have a lot of room after laying down a lot of these plants and all of the rocks, so I kind of just had to work with what I had because I really liked the landscaping. So it juts out a little bit from the side of the house, but I did have room to fit the barn, which I end up using this dog door, technically is what it is, and I size it up and I kind of place it here to make it look like barn doors. And I just kind of curved the roof a little bit to make it look like a, I guess, stereotypical barn roof. And usually what I would do is I would have to do a 2-story house in a way to be able to make that roof shape, but it was really nice to find like a door like that that could simulate a barn door and not have to go up to 2 stories. And as you can see, I'm also pulling out some debug items. I made a couple of rooms while I was doing this build, And I basically just called them farm stuff because it was stuff that you might find like on a farm or an outdoorsy build. So I have like this pickup truck. I had this archway that actually was in the debug menu from Strangerville, which I thought was so cool. I used a couple of hay bales and some buckets with just like water that's been collected, so maybe like collected rainwater and stuff like that. And there was also like the stack and satchels, I guess, bags, I don't know, whatever, of like fruits and stuff like that, as well as the little gardening signs. And I thought it was all so appropriate and looked so cute. This house doesn't have like a proper garden per se. They have gardening boxes like all over the property, but I didn't really have space for a garden, which was something I kind of regretted. I didn't realize how much space the landscaping would take when I actually started laying it all down. And then with the barn, I was like, wow, I really don't have a lot of room. So I thought maybe a decent sacrifice was having gardening boxes like near the back of the barn, near the back of the home. There's a couple near the front of the home as well. I just wanted it to be very lively and a little bit self-sufficient without being totally like off the grid, I guess. And I ended up making this little pathway from the back of this farmer's porch as well as from the front. And I end up adding these little like barn lights to the barn, which I thought was so cute. And I think I add them for the home as well. I was thinking of using, I think his name is Patchy. We got him with seasons, but honestly, it was very seasonal and didn't really fit in. I gave them a bug box. I gave them a little like beekeeper box. And then the barn is functional. So as you can see, I built a door here. So the dog door, obviously Sims can't get through. Like dogs could get through it, but Sims couldn't. So I had to actually give access to the barn. So I placed a door on the back, and then I place a flower arranging table as well as a woodworking bench. So there are some skill building like outdoorsy activities here as well. And since I was thinking that this home was kind of passed down from generation to generation, I was trying to decide if there was like an older couple that lived here or a younger couple. And granted, kind of thinking of the generational idea right now, this is only a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom home. So there really wouldn't be a bedroom for children. However, there is a landing space that you could turn into a kid's room. I think it's a little awkward, even though I do it like in a lot of my builds, to be honest. I think it's a little awkward though to have the stairs just lead right into someone's bedroom. However, there are a lot of homes that are laid out like this, at least that I've seen, which is kind of super weird when I think about it, but you could kind of do that if you wanted to. You could get rid of the items on the landing space and make it into a kid's room. So it's a little bit more versatile, I suppose, than I was thinking originally. But I'm kind of wrapping up the barn space now, which I thought was super cute and kind of cozy considering it's a barn. And then I move on to the interior. So first I lay out the staircase because I of course wanted to make sure that they could get upstairs. And the full bathroom's actually downstairs because I could not fit it upstairs if I wanted to potentially have a room that could be a second bedroom. It was really hard. Honestly, this house was not as big as I was originally planning, but as I was looking at the outside structure and just kind of the proportions, this is what it ended up being. So hopefully you guys don't really mind it. The first thing I work on is the kitchen, and I use these really nice kind of like rustic industrial shelves that we have. I believe these are base game, if my memory is serving me correctly. And I just kind of clutter up the counters a little tiny bit. I think there are actually 2 surfaces where your Sims could prepare food on, and I actually use one of them for the sink. The corners I think are all cluttered up, and I actually add something above the stove as well, but I don't do it until the end. It's an object I've never used, so I'll have to call it out when it actually comes up. But I also use this tile in the kitchen, which I don't think I've ever done before, just because I thought it looked a little older, like maybe a little bit more original. And when I say original, I mean, I am thinking this farmhouse is really old, so maybe it was like a generation or 2 ago that tile was put in, you know what I mean? I also merged this little basket from Jungle Adventure and a little fruit bowl to make it look like that was real fruit, which sometimes I pretend it's fake, sometimes I pretend it's real. Either way, we're pretending, right? Because obviously your Sims can't grab fruit from that fruit basket, which I so wish they could. Wouldn't that be cool if they could click on the fruit basket and they could just pull out like an apple or a plantain or something like that and eat it, because they can eat those things growing off the trees and shrubs and everything. Like they're harvestables that you can eat, so that would be really neat. And I know there's probably a custom content creator, like a modder, that's already done that. So yeah, I think that would be really cool. And then I actually placed that fake well out front that came with Get Famous. It's technically, I think, a movie prop. And they have a little place to kind of hang their coats and their shoes. They have a little china cabinet in the corner. And then this ends up being like the living/dining space. So it is fairly small and it's a little cramped. I did playtest the entire build. So the version that's up on the gallery includes me playing around with some of the objects that ended up causing routing issues for your Sims. But the dining room table here, there were no routing issues, which was great. My Sim could sit in every single chair. However, when I lay out the living room, I think they had to go all the way around the couch to get to some of the chairs on the far left. I think on both sides. So, I mean, there was a little bit of like out of the way walking, but they work and your Sims can sit at every single chair, which is what's important. And then I just add a clock near the front door with a couple of pieces of artwork and clutter up the kitchen a little bit more here and there as I found things in the wall decorations section of our catalog. It's so weird. Sometimes I have trouble remembering what's considered a painting. I think those are technically is like the painting category under the decorations. And then there's wall decorations, which to me, paintings are wall decorations. So I always kind of get confused as to where I can find certain objects. And then also in the miscellaneous category, I think there are some objects that can still hang on the wall. So I just get confused and sometimes I still don't know where to find things. But as you can see, I'm cluttering up this little console table with the little lighthouse lamp, which I loved. I know that there isn't a lighthouse in Windenburg. There's really just one in Brindleton Bay, I believe. So that came with cats and dogs, which is, you know, that's where it came from. So that's what it's trying to replicate. But I thought it was kind of appropriate because I've always pictured Windenburg maybe with a lighthouse on this island. And actually, now that I think about it, I think Rachel Ped did a lighthouse in Windenburg recently. That's the wheels are turning here, like the gears are turning. So definitely check out her build of that. I think she did do one recently, so go check that out. And now I'm working on the small living space. They do have this really nice fireplace, and of course I wanted to use a rocking chair because they're gonna probably be in every single build I do from now on. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I just love them so much. I wish I had a rocking chair. There was a rocking chair that we had in my living room growing up that I loved playing around in, probably a little bit dangerously, and I always wished it was just a little bit more comfortable so I can enjoy sitting in it as I got older. It's really uncomfortable. I think it was just like a wood rocking chair with no padding or anything like that, and it wasn't very great. But as a little kid, I actually had my own rocking chair too. Like it was a little kid-sized one. I used to like rock my dolls in it and stuff, and I used to absolutely love rocking around in it when I was younger. In fact, even through high school, I tried to sit in it. I was a little bit too big at that point, probably could have broke it, so I'm glad I didn't, but I love that rocking chair is what I'm trying to say. So I love rocking chairs. They hold a very special place in my heart, which is why they will most likely show up in most builds now. And I've talked my way through the bathroom already, which is honestly pretty boring to begin with, so I'm kind of glad I did, and I didn't save it for last. I decided not to do that yet again because I know they're not the most fun thing to watch, but that hamper actually ended up causing a routing issue to the toilet, so I kind of pushed it into the wall just a little tiny bit and it ended up working up fine. And then we move on to the upstairs. When I put down that wall, it actually moved that chimney, so I kind of had to replace it there. But this ends up being the landing space, and what I end up doing is kind of making it into an office space. But before I did that, I worked on the bedroom, which I thought was very pretty. It's very simple, but I love the lighting and I love the tones and the colors that I ended up choosing. I think that there could probably be a ton of objects that would match really well that I didn't use in this bedroom, but I do really like it. I like that swatch of the bed, and I ended up changing the swatch of that dresser because I realized there was one that was a little bit darker that matched a little tiny bit better, and it had like this soft yellow to it, which kind of matched the wallpaper and the curtains, and all in all, I thought it kind of pieced together really well. And I knew I wanted to have that ironing board. I was like really focused on it. I really wanted to use it. I felt like I needed to use it, and there was no way to fit it in the bathroom. So I figured they would kind of bring their laundry upstairs and end up like ironing it up there where they could just pull that ironing board out from the wall. That was my thought. I know you can't actually do it, but that's why originally I was going to leave it unblocked. And then I was like, you know what, it's The Sims. Just put a chair in the corner or something. Don't leave it empty. And that's pretty much it for the bedroom. Very simple. And then I move on to this landing space. I place a few more windows, and then I just end up choosing, like I said, a desk. They have a computer. I, of course, placed a knitting bag downstairs because how could I not? And I was gonna put a cat tower, but they were honestly so big, so I chose one of the smaller ones. It's kind of like a cat tower slash bed, because I was thinking that they at least had one cat. And what I do at the end as well is I place a litter box out in the barn, because there was no way I could fit it inside the house at this point, at least not comfortably like in the bathroom or something. So I thought that was kind of an appropriate place to put it. And I end up putting a bookshelf in this corner instead of that kind of like linen closet thing, linen storage, because I realized I didn't even have a bookcase. Like, that's the first time I actually forgot a bookcase. Usually there's a couple in each of my builds, and I literally forgot, which is just blasphemy for me. So here I place the litter box, and then I move on to some of the patios as well. So basically the big farmer's porch. They have a couple of decorative shelves that we got with Eco Lifestyle out here because I thought they were so appropriate for gardening and stuff like that. And I end up actually placing a couple of gardening pots, and I stack them to make it look as though they have a ton that are unused, which I really liked. I also add a couple of benches out there and a couple of lights, some hanging flowers that I thought were really pretty, or wallflowers actually, not hanging flowers. And of course, they have rocking chairs on the front porch because the view from that front porch is very nice. You look right out to the lake, I'm assuming is what it is. But that is pretty much it for the build at this point. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this. I can't wait to hear your thoughts, and I will catch you guys next time I post a video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!
Putting our life in boxes, erasing the memories so you won't notice. I'm taking the time to focus. You're by yourself, I'm by myself. Wish I could solve your problems. They're stuck on my wall like neon paintings, and I'm so tired of being honest to everyone by myself. I do it so well. We were so good at flying, but we can't keep flying. We keep getting stuck on the wrong side of the mountain. We were so good at trying, but we can't keep trying, 'cause we only end up on the wrong side of the mountain. We gave it so many chances. When we saw the signs, we just kept dancing, and the nights always seemed so endless. Thought it would last, now it's in the past. We were so good at flying, but we can't keep flying. We keep getting stuck on the wrong side of the mountain. We were so good at trying, but we can't keep trying, 'cause we only end up on the wrong side of the mountain. And you I will always remember, when I'm dancing around with someone better. Until then I will pause forever. Keep taking my time through boxes and light. We were so good at flying, but we can't keep flying.